Hello everyone. This is Nancy, the Kentucky Garden Gal, and in this video I want to go over some garden hacks, but look what I trapped. This little possum had been living under my porch, under one of my decks. I had seen it for a couple of times, so I came out this morning and found that I had indeed trapped the possum. I had put some cat food, but what I didn't realize is that she has babies. Can you see that in there? See those little tails? I came out earlier and the babies were actually out. There's two babies. So we're going to release her and her babies in just a little bit. But I thought this was so fascinating. I've lived in this house for 30 years and never seen a possum or a groundhog here, and I've caught both in the last week. So let's get started on some gardening hacks. So what is the secret to a successful garden, whether it's a container, a raised bed, in the ground? It's your soil. You want to have the richest soil that you can possibly have, and you will often see, if you're buying it bagged at the garden center, you'll see it with compost, maybe some worm castings, some manure, things like that that make it rich. But the best way and the most economical way is for you to make your own compost at home and then actually use that. Now keep in mind, if you are going somewhere and you're buying compost and it's maybe cow manure or horse manure, that is going to be hot. Just like my chicken manure that I have here with my backyard chickens, I do have to be careful how I use that. If I'm using it direct, I use just a tiny amount and add it in. But you don't want to burn your plants up, yet at the same time, the secret to your big pretty plants is going to be your soil. The second garden hack is location. You need to know what your plant or flower or tree or shrub, whatever it is that you're planting, you need to know what it likes. Does it like full sun? Does it like shade? So make sure that you understand what is going to make your plant happy. So we've got good soil. Now we want to decide a good location for your plant. Number 3 gardening hack is water. Plants have to have water to live. That's just the way that it goes. So number 1, you want to make sure that you have a water source. And in my case, I have to use city water, so I have a spigot, I have hoses. My dream is to have irrigation to all of my plants, but let's talk about some important watering things that we need to know. Number 1 is to know how much to water. So you want to be careful and not keep your plant just absolutely drowned, because you can overwater a plant. If you're in a container, having holes in the bottom with good drainage is very helpful for that. You want to remember what time you water. Watering in the heat of the day is not a good idea, because the water on the plants can actually magnify and it burns the plants. So the best time to water is, early in the morning or late afternoon, maybe when the sun goes down. You can water at night. You just don't want to do that consistently, because it could cause your plants to have mold. And also, let me show you, if you are watering in containers, some things that you can do. You always want to have some type of a saucer to catch water under your plants. And these are just little drip trays. I think I picked these up at the Dollar Tree recently because I knew I needed some more. But you can see here, this is my my potting bench. So you can see that I have a little drip tray under this. I potted up some lily of the valley for a friend of mine, and this is just an old food container. This time of year, I'm getting just about everything I can find. The same thing here. This is the elderberry that I haven't gotten in the ground yet, but I think this was maybe had rolls in it. And of course, you can color coordinate your drip trays, whatever works for you. But having something under your container will help to hold the water. And especially like if you're going to go out of town, maybe you want to water your house plants, and you can put a little extra water and leave it in the drip trays so that it doesn't completely dry out. We are here in the greenhouse, and the number one reason that seeds fail for people is actually overwatering. So you have to find just that sweet spot where you're getting enough water for your seedlings, yet you're not drowning the seeds. The last gardening hack that I want to talk about is planting trees and shrubs. The first year that you are planting your trees and shrubs, they have to have consistent water. They are forming their roots. You want their roots to go down deep into the soil and have good, strong roots. And the first year, like I said, you have to be consistent with your watering. Now, these are the pawpaws that I planted, and I actually am planning to do another major plant at the farm this fall. So when you plant things, say in November for our zone 7, you pretty much just let nature take care of those, because if they are going to survive, all right, there goes the speeder. If they're going to survive out, in the soil conditions, by planting in November, when they make it through the winter and they are alive in the spring, that's a pretty good indication that that tree or plant or shrub or whatever it is that you've planted is going to do well. So if you're planting in the spring, you have to be very, very, very consistent with watering that first year. If you plant in the fall, you get just a little break of letting nature water for you in the wintertime, but then that first year coming back into spring and summer and fall, you need to keep a pretty close check on what you've planted. My number 4 gardening hack is expectation versus reality. And I see this so often, especially on social media. People will say, oh, this is Pinterest worthy, or this is garden answer worthy. And it always makes me a little sad, because if you have grown something, I don't care what it is, that's a success. And I'm happy. I think you should be proud of it. And your garden is an expression of you. There's no right or wrong. Of course, there are design plans. I follow mainly in the cottage garden because I like a little bit of everything, and I like it here and there. I do follow some design elements loosely, as far as repetition planting and things like that. But your garden is an expression of you, and there's no wrong or right. It's whatever is pleasing to your eye, and be proud of yourself. This shaming on social media has just really kind of gotten out of hand, in my opinion, and I really hate to see that. And I see so many people in these different gardening groups that ask questions, and they just instead of just giving them an answer, they have to give an opinion on everything. So don't get caught up in that. And if you happen to be in a group and you kind of notice that this is the way that it goes, don't feel bad about leaving that group. There's tons of gardening groups out there, hundreds and thousands. Find one where you are comfortable and you can ask your questions and share your victories in the garden. My next gardening hack is never stop learning. Never stop growing in knowledge as a gardener. This year, I just discovered I did a little bit of propagation last year and I had some success. And that was all I needed, just a little tiny bit of success to think, hey, I can do this. And so this year, I took all of these cuttings from softwoods this spring. And the softwoods are a little bit easier to start. And right here, we're looking at blueberries. These are hardy blueberries. But it's been so much fun. If you see something that you like, then if you know how to take a start from it, to propagate it, you can have all you want and you can share with your friends. But never stop learning. I say this all the time. I will die not knowing all there is to know about gardening because it's never ending. It's just never ending. I happen to be sitting in this little area that I created quite by accident. It's actually my carport, but it's just turned out to be the perfect little workstation for me this year for gardening. If you all remember, there is the free stainless steel table that I picked up in one of the Thrifting Thursday videos. And I'm telling you, that thing, I have enjoyed it more, I think, than anything I have ever used. But are you also seeing the Roundup down there? Yes, I use Roundup in my garden. I do not claim to be 100% organic gardener. I love to garden organically. I think that when you get nature in balance, it is just best for everybody. But the reality is we have weeds, and weeds grow really, really fast. And I have areas in my garden that I do have to use Roundup on. And it's almost become a taboo subject in gardening. And I'm just not going to let anybody shame me for that, because I have areas around I have an above ground pool, and if I don't keep that grass down, it can get up under the grass and actually damage my liner. I also have rock paths. I have a concrete driveway that I do have to use Roundup on occasionally. So, you do what you need to do to take care of your garden. Don't let, anybody shame you, or maybe you feel like, oh, I can only use organic fertilizer. I use Miracle Grow. I can only eat so many bananas and have, so much banana peel tea. So you have to do what is best for you. And don't worry if it's not what everybody on Pinterest is doing or Instagram is doing. That's just not reality. And remember, when they take those photographs or they make that video of this perfect garden or this perfect container or this perfect bouquet, it's only perfect for the minutes while they're taking the photograph. I guarantee you, if you go back the next day, it's not that perfect. So just keep that in mind as you're doing things in your garden. Is the things that we see on social media, that's not really reality. Reality is weeds grow faster than we can pull them. As we're walking by, we'll peek in on the little Isa Browns. This is going into the 3rd week of having them, and I tell you, it always amazes me how much they grow. And where I have them now is just behind my potting bench, and I love standing there working on flowers and hearing these sweet little peeps. But aren't they precious? One of the babies came out. Look at that. Isn't it precious? It looks like there's 3 altogether. She moved her head, but we can see one of the heads right there, one of the babies right there, and then it looks like there's another little foot right there. I know, Mama, we're not gonna hurt you. We are not gonna hurt you, I promise. We're just looking at your sweet little babies. My last gardening hack is find people who support you. And by that, I'm talking about fellow gardeners. Maybe you want to join a garden club. Maybe you want to subscribe to a magazine. Perhaps you want to join different garden groups on Facebook or follow different pages. But there is so much inspiration out there. And in the comment section of this video, I am going to put some people who really inspire and motivate me. Some of them I have watched for years and years and years. Some of them are fairly new, but like I told you in the last hack, you're always learning, you're always growing as a gardener. So find people who inspire you, and remember, it's just an inspiration or a motivation, but the end product is your design, and it represents you, and it represents what you like. And as long as you're happy with what you're growing in your garden, that's all that matters. At the end of the day, that is all that matters, and you should be happy and you should be proud. Thank you all so much for joining me for this video. I hope that I have helped you some with things that we need to keep in mind as we're gardening. And I appreciate everyone, and I will see you this Thursday with Thrifting Thursday.